highest punishment that anybody was given was meted out to him, which was 2 transportations for life, each transportation accounting for 25 years, so totally about 50 years. Now just imagine, he was about 26 or 27 when he was arrested. So 50 years, if he actually managed to survive and come out, he would have been 77. So the idea was to kill his entire political career. All his degrees were snatched away. Though he had passed the exams in London, that degree was withdrawn. His BA degree from Fergusson College, which he had passed with such high honors, all of that was taken away. So on record, Savarkar today is just a metric pass. So, and he was then sent away to the hellhole of Kalapani to rot there for 50 years. And the kind of, treatment that prisoners like Savarkar and several others, they were largely political prisoners who were revolutionaries from Bengal, Maharashtra and so on. The Alipore case convicts were all here. I think, I'm sure some of us know about it, some of us don't know, and those of us who read about it, I think our blood even now boils to see the kind of treatment, the basic human facilities that a prisoner needs to be given was not given to them, of food, of toilet facilities, of medical treatment. Most of the food that was served to them was basi khana with pieces of reptiles and snakes and all of that in it, the sweat of the cook, all of that, and eating most of it, most of them would end up with diarrhea. And there were fixed timings even when you could go to the toilet. And I'm sorry I'm narrating this, but I think we as a nation need to know because they endured it. All that we're doing it is just hearing about it. So even there were fixed timings to go to the toilet, and any other time if you had to go to visit, answer nature's call, you were not allowed. So most of the prisoners defecated in their own cells. You had to eat and sleep and sit in that squalor, and many of them were given standing handcuffs, including Savarkar's jail ticket talks about standing handcuffs. Your legs and hands are chained for several weeks. He was given solitary confinement for 6 months, where no human contact whatsoever. The only human being you see outside, his cell faced the gallows. So the only human being you would see outside were all these criminals who are being screaming and shouting and being taken to be hanged there, and no medical facilities, even if you had the worst of ailments. And that thing that you see there was the kolhu, where kolhu ka bail, that thing where oil grinding machine, instead of the bail on the other side, our freedom fighter would be yoked there, and in the blazing heat of Port Blair, day and night they had to go round and round that thing to extract oil. And at the end of the day, the oil would be measured. You had to extract 30 pounds of oil, and if you were not doing that, then you would be flogged, you would not be given food. And that was the dress, and the standing handcuffs where your hands and legs are chained. And most of them had to wear gunny sacks. Either they were not given enough clothes, and even when they were doing this kolhu thing, if you wanted water, you were not given water. And the gunny sacks would lead to skin infections and all of that. That too, no treatment. So most of the prisoners, they were young men who were 18, 19, 20, less than 25. Many of them, decided to commit suicide because Indu Bhushan Roy, one of the convicts there, commits suicide. Many of them go mad. They just lose their sanity because the kind of tortures were so inhuman. In fact, an entire asylum comes up in the Andaman Islands called in the Hado Island, which is still there, the asylum where all these political revolutionaries were taken after so they had to break the spine of the prisoners. And to all of them, when one reads Savarkar's memoirs himself, he was always called Bada Babu, who's come from England. Most of them didn't even know English. So he was almost like their spokesperson, and he would keep telling them, giving them courage that don't commit suicide, don't, and someone goes on hunger strike, he says, don't go on hunger strike, whatever rubbish they're giving, eat, because you have to stay alive first to be able to fight. If you give up your life, that's the easiest thing you can do. But then if you have to eat, become fat at their expense, and then escape and beat them up back. So most of them looked up to him as that figure, a leader whom they could bank upon, and that comes up even when the famous mention of the petitions that come up, where he actually files these petitions not only for himself but for all the other political prisoners as well. In one of his petitions in 1917, he says, if my release constitutes an obstacle to the release of all the other prisoners, then you can omit my name and release the others, so that, and that would give me as much joy as my own release will secure. So it was very obvious that he was acting as this spokesperson for many of them. And after 11 long years of suffering in this jail, that's the cell which is there on the third floor of the cellular jail. The Savarkar cell is what it's still called. You had the Prime Minister go there and pay his obeisance recently. Those two, I don't know if it's visible, those two pots that are there, one was for eating and the other for your daily ablutions. Even for your ablutions, the amount of water that was given was only that much. You could not ask for extra water. And today when Britain talks to us about human rights and Kashmir and so on, I think someone needs to show a mirror to what all they did to us and our ancestors, and all of this has just gone unnoticed. Jallianwala Bagh, of course, everybody knows, they come and apologize. I think here is where they need to apologize a lot more to us as a nation.